Rogan. He's the biggest podcast in the world. He doesn't have big names. They're just really incredibly interesting people. But I like to put really funny people on my show, and that's why Earl's on today.
Well, I like Rogan's podcast because he doesn't just have UFC people on. Like, you would think someone like him would just have, like, I don't know, John Jones on one week and Josh Barnett. He has, like, these... He had a guy on the other day, some Navy SEAL who's, like, a super SEAL. It was really
David Goggins,
Yeah, I was like, wow, this guy's, like, passed tests that even the top SEAL didn't pass.
Yeah.
So, you know, I try to do that.
Pretty soon he's going to be a high school teacher.
Well...
That's my theory. We get Navy SEALs in their downtime to be teachers to end the school shootings.
I mean, who knows? Bad people are going to get the guns. I mean, let's be real. That kid, he bought it legally. I mean, you know.
I'm not having a gun argument again. The whole way over here, my friend and I argued guns.
I'm not arguing. I'm just saying. You know, I don't know what the right thing is.
I got an idea for this podcast. I thought it'd be interesting. What if for the beginning of it, I interview you?
Okay.
Or you interview me, and then we switch.
Why don't you start first? Because, you know, this is half your podcast. This is a dual podcast.
It's also half your podcast.
But, well, you're a bigger name, so, you know, I got to...
No, that's not true.
You are. No, it is true.
You have way more TV credits now. I'm not on TV anymore. I'm a road hack.
If my career fell in the forest, nobody would hear it.
I feel the same way about mine.
Yeah.
It's like, you got to promote your gigs. To who?
But you headline. I'm just
I am. I'm a non-drawing headliner. Actually, I have to be honest. I've been selling out shows lately, and I don't know why. Like, I went Lake Tahoe, sold out. Portland, Oregon, sold out. Just did Santa Monica last night, sold out show. I'm in Las Vegas tonight, and it will be sold out, but it won't be because of me. The real true test is going to be Appleton, Wisconsin. I'm going there. If I sell out there, there's a trend. Something's happening.
You're doing the Dirty at 12:30 show.
Yeah.
I've never done it, but Gabe Lopez, great dude. It's a show.
Yeah. I just know he's Mexican.
I mean, he's friends with Ralphie May. That's good enough for me.
Yeah, you loved Ralphie, didn't you?
I really did. I had to delete his DMs.
Oh, yeah, you told me that.
Just, I mean, I love Ralphie. But,
what's the worst DM?
Oh,
Why?
We should talk about gun control.
Let's talk about abortion.
I mean, Ralphie, you know, he would always say, let me get you on the road, let me get you out of LA doing comedy, you know, just...
Would you like to go on the road?
I don't want to be a road comic because I have no interest in, like, being the king of B-rooms.
Okay, so I'm going to start my interview with that. Earl Skakel, how did it all begin?
Well, my dad didn't pull out in, I think, probably the summer of '67. And then I came flying out of my mom's Johnny.
What town were you living in at the time?
Bel Air, California.
So you grew up. You've been here your whole life.
Yes. I grew up in Bel Air. Not all comics are poor. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
But we were very lucky in our wealth. We weren't, I still say I'm upper middle class.
Really? Why do you say that?
Because my dad bought our family home in Bel Air in the 60s when Bel Air was no nicer a neighborhood than, say, Culver City.
Right.
It's not a knock on Culver City. It's just, it's a regular neighborhood. Then the Bel Air fire happened, and literally every home in Bel Air was burned to the ground except for ours. Because my dad was not...
Because your dad did it.
Oh, yeah, well, my dad hired a couple of the... Well, never mind, it's a new era. I can't say stuff like that anymore. My dad hired a few caddies just to set the... and my dad was not letting our house burn down. Trust me on that one.
So whenever your house burned down, they build up mansions around your house. And because they did, the value of your home just skyrocketed.
I mean, it was like literally being in on a penny stock that grew into...
So you became real estate rich.
Yeah, I mean, like our neighbors, this is who our neighbors were. Harry Nielsen, often called the Fifth Beatle.
Yeah.
I mean, his songwriting royalties, probably to this day, even though he's been dead for years, probably $1 million plus a year to his family.
Jeez.
You know, Sylvester Stallone when he was living with Susan Anton.
Did you see him like jogging?
Oh yeah, he jogged all the time in his Gloria Vanderbilt, sweat outfits. This is the '80s. O.J. Simpson, Orenthal James Simpson.
You live near the house where it happened?
No, he lived in Bel Air before Brentwood.
Oh, okay, Brentwood's where the house. They knocked that down, I heard recently.
I mean, O.J. was about as black as the albino from Foul Play. I mean, the motherfucker never went to Roscoe's. I mean, he was Bel Air Country Club, Riviera. He never hung out in the hood.
He belonged to both Bel Air and Riviera?
I don't even know if he belonged to them, but when you're OJ in the 70s and 80s, you just probably walked into any country club, and even though, let's just say, country clubs aren't exactly friendly towards certain ethnicities, it was OJ. Okay,
so you grew up in Bel Air, but you're from the Skakel background, so there's some success there.
Oh yeah, I mean, my grandfather started I think it was the largest privately owned company in America for a while, because he would go by oil refineries and ask them for their waste, and they thought he was a crazy, yeah, sure. It'd be literally like going, I don't know, up to the Comedy Store and saying, "Can we get the stuff from your paper shredder?"
And then what would he do with it?
Turn it into graphite.
Oh, graphite. And then didn't he lose that company or something?
Well, he went deep on we'd be billionaires, but he went deep with his own money and stock in an oil operation in the Amazon. And it just didn't quite work out as he had anticipated.
Your grandfather did that?
No, my dad.
Oh, your dad did that?
My dad took over the company
at
the appropriate time. And, my dad was a very interesting guy. Like, he was on the cover of Life magazine for killing a whale. Not a girl he met on Plenty of Fish, but, see, that's bring it back full circle.
I get it. And you didn't use Tinder, which is good.
Right, yeah. I just bombed on my own, on our podcast.
I got it. It's okay. I'm going to bomb too.
So, he was like a jack of all trades. He was a scratch golfer, but he had the worst swing.
Oh, one of those guys.
He was like Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, I've seen those guys. It's pretty weird to play with them. You're like, how did that ball just go from there to there with what you just did?
He had this swing where he would loop the club around his back like he was swinging a pickaxe. And it
worked.
And he played with like these shitty ping.
Is your dad passed?
My parents passed away 2 months apart in '98.
Oh, jeez, I'm sorry to hear that.
I'm glad it happened that way, to be frank, because they loved each other so much.
Oh yeah, I've heard that.
They were incredibly weird. They slept in separate rooms.
Really?
We had a fully stocked gun closet. It's amazing one of us didn't die from. I can't tell you how many times I pulled out like a 45, pointed it in my face, and went, "Oh, this is cool." None of them were locked. None of them have safeties on.
Loaded?
Ammunition all over the place. I mean, there was probably 200 guns.
Who was the gun lover? Your dad?
My dad. My dad was a hunter.
Okay, so he's one of those guys. But was there ever any kind of incident or accident?
No.
Never, ever?
No. I mean,
that's crazy.
But he was like a Jacques Cousteau meets Bill Gates meets MacGyver.
And if you don't mind me asking, what did they pass from?
Well, Mom had so many different forms of cancer. Like, she didn't believe in doctors. She's like, "Fuck it, I'm living a good life. I don't care."
How long did she make it? How old?
I mean, she died at 69, and the dad was 74.
That's the average lifespan, 74.
Well, they could. I don't know if I'd say they could still be alive, but like, if Mom went to the doctor, she definitely could have lived.
Yeah.
But when I was a kid, she had these massive bumps on her forearms, like golf balls. They were tumors.
Yeah, she didn't give a shit. Christian Scientist?
No, she just was from the sticks of Cartersville, Georgia, which is where I think they still have lynchings.
Oh, okay.
It's like...
Why'd you smile when you said that?
I'm Ron Lynch. She's a great comic. I didn't... This is... Well, we're on... Well, you're on Facebook Live. I'm just the voice.
Oh, I'm on Facebook Live.
Yeah.
I'm over here pulling wax out of my ear.
So
I probably asked you a lot of these questions on when you did the Bingle show before. Your cousin, I believe, was on was on Talking Shit once. Robert.
Oh yes.
Robert Kennedy III.
Right. He's my aunt is Ethel.
Right.
So
cousin by marriage.
Yeah. So that's why I've never made a big thing about the Kennedy thing. It's like, okay, well, it's just.
He said you guys are crazy though, and he's crazy.
Oh, we're crazy. The Skakel side of the family.
He said the Skakel side is fucking. He was telling some story about you guys driving a golf cart into a pool or something like. Shooting fireworks off a golf cart or something, or guns, or.
I mean, there's so many golf cart stories. Like my dad once was on the. This is probably a little too deep of a reference, but on the 8th hole of Bel Air, you know, the tee box is very high, and you have to drive down a pretty steep path. And my dad was a drinker for a large part of his life, and I don't mean a couple beers. I mean it was like hardcore.
Right.
And he tipped the cart over, broke like 5 ribs. And he was so strong that he just lifted the cart back on its wheels and shot 2 birdies on the next 2 holes with 5 broken ribs because, you know, he just didn't feel anything. Like he was a maniac.
Did he play a lot of golf?
He played every day. He went to 3 places, and this is kind of how I lived my life. He went to church, and then he went to the Bel Air Hotel to drink with Harry Nielsen, and then the Bel Air Country Club to play golf with, you know, whoever.
Every day.
Yeah, he was like the Rodney Dangerfield.
What about work?
Well, he was a pretty established businessman at that time,
Okay,
so he'd go into the office and do his thing, and then.
So, I grew up around a country club, so I kind of know that mentality, and I know guys like that, and it is kind of amusing to watch. But you're not a drinker, are you?
Never had a drink in my life.
Is it because of him and his drinking?
No, my mom bribed me. Because I was the last of 5 children, and they were, you know, they partied to varying degrees. Nothing too wacky, but you know, they enjoyed a liquor beverage and maybe some smoke and possibly some powdered refreshments.
Yeah.
And my mom was like, I don't want my last child to be, you know.
Really?
So she's like, if you don't drink till you're 18, I'll get you the car of your choice.
Wow.
Within reason.
Wow, what'd you pick?
I'll never forget. We went down to Ocean Motors, 20th and Santa Monica, BMW dealership. I think it's still there. And the guy takes me into this warehouse. It's probably got 100 cars in it. And he just looks at me and goes, pick. And I just, you know, I was like, it's like, you know, everywhere I looked, I would have taken anything. And I saw a bright red one. I'm like, that's it. And so my mom, I think it was $22,000, and that was a lot for an '80s car. In '86, her hands literally shaking like Michael J. Fox, you know. So she took a cab home because she thought I'd be too nervous in the car with her. So I was so excited. I get the car. I'm driving back to Bel Air. I'm stopped to make a left off of Sunset by Marymount High School. For those of you who are local. And the car is smoking so bad, it's like a Kiss concert is coming out of the back end. So I finally get to my house. My dad's like, what the fuck are you doing? I'm like, I don't know, Dad. This is a new car. It just can't be like, I don't know what I did. Like, it's a new car.
I picked it for the pyrotechnics.
And he goes into the car and he goes, and this is how my dad just spoke. You fucking idiot.
The emergency
brake is on. So I drove 5 miles, and I'm like, I'll never forget. Like I was driving, I probably was driving fast. I'm like, this car's a little sluggish. It's not really fucking. There's only 4 cylinders.
How long do you have that car?
I had it for probably 7 years.
Did you get a lot of tail in that car?
I did, but I didn't get laid till I was 21.
Why, weirdo?
You know, I was very popular in high school, class clown.
Where'd you go to school?
Notre Dame High.
Okay.
Riverside and Woodland.
Are you Catholic?
Was. My mom converted to marry my dad, so the reality is I'm Jewish.
Okay.
But I was raised Catholic. Altar boy, all that stuff.
Wait. Who's Jewish, though?
My mom.
Mom's Jewish, dad is Catholic.
Right, but in the 50s, you had to convert to Catholicism.
It's usually the other way.
You know, I don't know. I mean, I think if you're married to a Jewish family...
yeah, the Jews, those are the only people they let in.
My parents had divorced and got back together with each other.
Oh, wow.
So I came in after
I think about that. I think that'd be great. That's like a dream of mine. Divorce my wife for a while, go hang out with some other chicks for a while, and then just come back and everything's normal.
Well, my dad was an incredibly good-looking dude. Like,
really?
He was a model. Like, he could have been. He wasn't, but... And my mom was a model. So...
What happened to you?
I think I was adopted.
I'm just kidding.
I think Ted Levine.
You're good looking.
I mean, for 49...
Wait, so let's get to this. Wait, so your mom's Jewish, your dad's Catholic.
She converts.
She converts to Catholicism.
Right, but a rabbi...
Why do you call yourself Jewish then? You go,
I have Jewish blood. A rabbi would say you're Jewish.
Because you have some Jewish blood.
Right. You know, it's like the mob. You can only get in if you're...
You guys, that's typical of the Jews. You just think you're better than everyone. Your Jewish blood is better than your Catholic blood.
I mean, I'm not better than anyone.
But what is the ethnicity then?
White.
No, where's your mom?
Brother.
From? What's your mom? What?
My mom is from the Cartersville, Georgia. The deep
A
South.
Jew from Georgia.
And when people would call my... that's Lois coughing in the back.
Smoking.
When people... Yeah, with the things that dog has seen in this house. When people would call my home in the 70s and my mom would answer, they thought she was black. She had an incredibly thick southern drawl.
Okay.
And then my dad was Irish Catholic.
Okay. So, but you don't know if your mom's a Sephardic Jew or...
I think, my mom had a wild upbringing, like, possible molestation, and like her dad was a legendary...
She's from Georgia, everyone's molested.
Yeah, I mean, that's not molestation if you ask for it.
That's just Tuesday.
But her dad was like a Bear Bryant of high school football coaches.
Really?
He got killed when she was 9.
Jesus.
The mom was an alcoholic. So...
I thought it was just the Kennedy side that had all this fucked up shit.
Oh, the Staples are 100 times worse. I mean, I lost both my grandparents in a plane crash, an uncle in a plane crash, my dad's brother.
I think that happens. We might have already talked about this. I hate that we might have already talked about this and I don't remember. But why is Lois trying to bite me?
No, she's not trying to bite you.
We talked about... I think wealthy people, like one of my best friends who's a billionaire, has, he's got like that kind of weird history, like his relatives were in a plane crash where his aunt and uncle both died, and the son, I believe, died. The daughter lived that was in the crash, but 3 of the 4 of them died, and his father died fairly young, his brother died, and I think what it is, when you have a lot of money, you lead a lot more of an active lifestyle of risk-taking. So, like, you fly a lot more. You go to crazier places. Like I was just thinking, I'm supposed to go to Bali and go, like, because I'm a comedian, I go on all these, like, crazy tours. And there are some flights that I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm going to be on some tiny little plane. If you're the average person not doing these things, you're not going to crash in a little fucking 2-seater plane that's taking you over to some island so you can go surf fucking giant waves over coral reef. Like, hunting trips and crazy, weird fucking shit. You're putting yourself in those situations. So that's probably why the Kennedys and the scale. Look at, JFK Jr. happened in the, was flying a plane in weird conditions.
Well, he wasn't even qualified to fly any instruments.
Yeah.
So to fly, I had a horrible fear of flying.
Yeah.
Like, I would pass up on gigs if I had to fly.
Yeah.
Like Rob Schneider would say, "Hey, can you open for me in New York?" I'd be, "Fuck, that's a long flight." I would lie and say, "Oh, I booked a pilot." It's like in August. Like, there's no pilots being filmed in August. And Rob was great.
That's how I am with elevators.
I had a fear of elevators. Like,
how'd you get rid of it?
My mom would always take me shopping, and I just would think about the clothes I'm going to get once the elevator doors would open.
Oh my God, you're such a woman.
No, I'm being honest. Like, I always try and fly first class when I can. I don't fly a lot, so I can. I just have this thing that people in first class don't die. And I know Dennis Miller had a bit where, they shut I think it was something like they shut the curtain, and what do you think is going to happen? People in first class fly off in, like, Goldfinger, type of pods, and, like, yeah, I do. I really believe it.
Okay, so you went to high school at St. Where?
Notre Dame High.
Notre Dame. Where is that?
That's Sherman Oaks.
Is it a private Catholic?
Very Catholic school. I wanted to go to Beverly High just because I went to Good Shepherd grade school in Beverly Hills, and all my friends went to Beverly, and I didn't know anyone at Notre Dame High because I didn't know anyone in the valley. But my mom went to Beverly High for one day, and she came to pick me up and with Leroy, our black butler, and that's enough. That we'll get into him in a second.
We had Willamette.
Leroy Prince, the OG Fresh Prince of Bel Air. And in the parking lot were like literally Ferraris, Porsches. I mean, my car wouldn't have gotten past the guard in this. And she's like, "You're not going here." So she sent me to Notre Dame High.
That was pretty smart of your mom, I think.
Well, not really, because Notre Dame High had more money than Beverly High.
Oh, really?
Well,
I think the money is really bad for kids. I think it's fucking awful.
Well, I mean, that's the one thing. I mean, I probably had it a little too easy growing up.
So wait, so you go there.
So I go to Notre Dame High, 4 years.
Was it all boys?
Well, it was all boys the first year, and then Corvallis, which was the all-girls school, like our sister school, they shut down, and all the girls came to us.
Which was great.
Oh, it was great. I mean, I remember...
all boys school. It was weird.
Well, I was such a good kid freshman year, and the dean, Jerome All, I'll never forget his name, he would call all the people in who didn't get any detentions and just say, "Hey, good job, we're happy to have you here." And I'm like, "Dean All, you got to get some chicks in here because there's a lot of fags in this school."
You said that to him?
I was just oblivious. It's like the beginning of my dark comedy. And he's like... He kind of laughed uncomfortably.
And you were a good student, though?
Not really, to be honest with you, B's.
But, I mean, you were a good kid, though. You weren't getting in trouble.
Oh, no, I never did anything. I saw more drugs freshman year at Notre Dame than I've ever seen in my life.
Freshman year?
Yeah, it was cocaine, a lot of coke at Notre Dame, a lot of weed.
I think I grew up in Pittsburgh, and I didn't see a lot of drugs till, started seeing cocaine my senior year, and it was always, older college kids at parties. And I didn't really see drugs. Pot was it.
Right.
And so I'm starting to think it's this town. I think if you grew up in this town, you're just fucking immersed in the drug culture.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've seen more drugs. For someone who's never done drugs, I've seen more than Keith Richards.
So...
We have a celebrity on Facebook Live right now. I don't usually like to do this.
Who?
But, and I don't know if he will like me saying this, but the drummer from Kiss, the great Eric Singer, is in the house watching, formerly of Badlands, Black Sabbath.
Why would he be on your Facebook page?
He's a fan. He might not admit it, but Eric Singer in the house. Just want to give a quick shout out.
Do you have his picture up on your wall?
I do, several of them.
Oh, good.
An amazing drummer, drums for Brian May. I mean, he's the real deal.
What's he think of my posture right now?
Eric, Eddie Ifft, I'm sure you've seen him headline somewhere while you're on the road. The hardest working dude I've ever. He's never home. He's always...
Is he always with Kiss or who else? Someone else?
I think he's with Kiss primarily. He's also was Alice Cooper's main drummer.
Okay. How does he feel about Little Kiss? The midget version.
Well, I think he's a fan of the Kiss in Seattle. That's all Gene Simmons. Everyone dresses as Gene, and they're called Gene's Addiction. That's pretty funny.
That's good.
And
what about Little Kiss? I had a friend that played in Little Kiss.
I don't know if Eric has thoughts on Little Kiss. He might be just a voyeur right now. He might not want to get in.
Might have just clicked to give you a...
It's just a little, he's a big Cleveland Cavaliers fan.
Oh, interesting.
He had a great picture once at the airport, and I'm sure you've taken pictures like this. There was a basketball player who later became a pro wrestler named Giant Gonzalez, El Gigante, and he was like 7'8", and it's the best picture because Eric's, I don't know, maybe 5'10", 5'9", and so just to see two humans who have a 2-foot height difference.
Yeah, it's, so I've got a friend that played for the Australian national team in basketball. His name's Wheeler, and I think he's about 7 foot, just about 7 foot. And then I have another friend named Iman, who's a comedian, who is about 3 feet tall. He's like the smallest person I know. Weighs like 41 pounds. And I was somewhere with them once at a show, and we were all hanging out backstage, and I realized they were both there. I said, "Do you guys mind getting in a picture together?" And they were both like, "Yeah, no problem." And I was like, for perspective, I'm going to need Wheeler. I'm going to need you to hold Amon in your hand like that old Guinness Book of World Records picture. Right. And we didn't do that, but we got a picture of the two of them together, and it's pretty creepy. But I'm back to you.
I'm sorry. I get sidetracked.
Notre Dame. You went to Notre Dame. 4 years there.
4 years there, and then I went to SMC, which is the junior college.
Why? Why junior college?
I didn't know what I wanted to do. Like, I was clueless after high school.
But all your friends must have been going off to college.
Oh yeah, I mean,
every one of them.
They were, and most of them from Notre Dame went on to be engineers and
Ivy League schools.
I think trying to think, we didn't really have any celebrities in our in my grade. The drummer from Jane's Addiction was a couple years before me. I think the guitar player from Quiet Riot, his cousin went there. Like, it wasn't a very...
That's hilarious. The only famous person that went to my high school was Reb Beach.
From Wayner.
Yeah.
We got a lot of musicians right now. Not only is Eric Singer from Kiss in here, but Stefan Adika, former bass player from LA Guns.
Oh, LA Guns. My oldest sidekick, Jason Auer, claims that he was the guitar tech for LA Guns. Maybe this guy can dispute it, because Jason has always laid claim to that, and we always think Jason's lying about everything. But I'm sure that he doesn't remember his guitar tech.
And by the way, this shows you what a friend I am. If you're a resident of Paso Robles, Stefan Adika, ex-bass player from LA Guns, will sell you a nice home, cut rate deal. I like to help people out.
LA Guns, though, my buddy is bringing Milan Chernovic is bringing them over to Australia.
I think I know him.
Milan?
Yeah.
Everybody knows Milan. You probably met him at
met him just for last.
Yeah.
When I
that's Milan.
Roast battle Tom Ballard.
Yes.
He was very.
You met Milan.
He was giving me inside dirt on Tom Ballard. He's like, "Hey, Tom's gay." I'm like, "No shit."
Yeah.
What next? You gonna tell me Shaq is black, Milan?
Milan is an amazing person. He does. He's been on this podcast many times, or my podcast, but not our podcast.
Right. This is groundbreaking. I don't think anyone's ever done a dual.
I think a lot of people have.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're not groundbreaking.
I'm out of the loop. I'm just getting into the TV show Wise Guy.
Hey, did you know there's these things you can put your food in, and it'll cook your food really quickly?
Who books it? I'm behind the times. I'm literally just getting into that.
I know. You've got videotapes over there on the shelf.
I'm my favorite new group is Weezer.
Have you watched any of those videotapes?
All of them.
In the last 5 years?
No, I'm not ignoring you guys. Eric and Stefan, I love you guys. A great rhythm section. Those are all hockey fight tapes.
Oh, all fights?
Yeah. I used to...
Were you a goon?
Yeah, well, when I started playing hockey, I played it like a football player. I would just literally ram guys in the corner, and some of the better players were like, "Hey, dude, you don't really need to play like that out here. You got to get the ball first."
But didn't you play deck hockey?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you still...
I was a maniac. Because deck hockey, in the league I play in, there's NHL players.
You still play?
Yeah. There's NHL players who play in the summer to keep in shape. So it's a serious league. You tell people deck hockey, they're like, "Oh, you can't skate." Yeah. Come play in a gold division.
Can you skate?
If I grew up in Canada, I would have played in the NHL. But no, I can't, to answer your question. I skate. My skating instructor said, "Dude, I love you, Earl, but you skate like Mick Jagger walks." I was horrible. But I'm like Goldberg from the Mighty Ducks. My slap shot is NHL speed.
When you were in high school, did you play any sports?
I played 1 day of high school football. You got to understand that I've been the same size since 4th grade.
Oh, fuck.
They almost had to take out my pituitary gland because they thought I was going to be a giant. No, I mean, I was in 4th grade. I was 6'1", not 200 pounds, but I was probably 150.
That's the funniest thing you've ever told me. I'm just picturing this fucking giant.
Yeah, I was a giant, and by the way, Eric, can you hook me up with a Gene Simmons vault for half off? I'm just trying to work a deal. Gene Simmons has a box set out, 150 songs, but for $2,000. If you buy it for $2,000, you can go to like a studio and listen to one song with him. But for $50,000, he'll come over to your house and hand deliver it.
Shut up.
$50,000, and he'll play like a song or something or whatever. So I'm wondering if Eric can just bring me one over. I'll just give him like $500 or something.
Wow. I'm pretty sure I'm Eskimo buddies or Eskimo brothers with Gene Simmons.
I mean, in the comedy world, that's why I had to go off the grid for a while.
You do. If you want to avoid the same diseases as every other comedian.
Well, I just don't, that's why I had to leave Roast Battle. Take a vacation from Roast Battle, because everyone in the room's fucked everyone. So I just, like, you literally, like, I'd be at the haters table, and I'd look up and see an Eskimo brother. I'd look on the stage, there's someone roasting. I'd go downstairs for a spot, someone bring me up that had slept with someone I knew, and then I'm bringing up someone. It's just like I had to take
So glad I've always been out of that, though. I would go do my shows, and then I would go meet girls outside of the comedy world, because I didn't want to be around them. I didn't want that going on. But it happens. Occasionally you do.
Well, I'm not around anyone but comics.
Yeah, see, I have, comedy's probably 10% of my life.
Good for you, and you're still more famous than me. So there you go.
Yeah, but I'm not more famous.
You are,
and I'm obsessive compulsive about everything I do. Like Rogan does everything 110%. I do everything like 75%. So like that's why he's so great at what he does, and I'm not, because I watch that guy, and if he does something, he masters it. I do something, I enjoy it, but like I don't have the focus or drive that he has. He's phenomenal. Like the fact that he's like an amazing karate taekwondo. He was amazing. Jiu-jitsu, he's amazing. Archery, he's amazing. Comedy, he's amazing. The guy's UFC. He knows more than anyone knows. He's a freak. Cars. He's so smart. The guy freaks me out to the point where like it's intimidating. You're like, oh, you're an outlier. You haven't just learned to master one thing. You've mastered like 10 things. And I'm the same way, but I just don't master it. I get into something. I get into it pretty heavy.
Right.
Like surfing. But this is about you, Earl. This is the beginning part is about you. I want to get through high school.
So go to SMC.
No sports at high school.
So I played one day at high school.
Right.
And I remember waiting in line to get our equipment. And I had never seen a child my age bigger than me. Like, I literally...
You saw one?
Like in grade...
Refrigerator Perry was there?
Does he book a room? In grade school, I was dominating. Like, I was like Shaq in Blue Chips. Nobody could fucking stop me in any sport. Like, did you ever see Blue Chips?
Yeah.
Like, remember the scene when Nick Nolte goes in and
they go down, like, don't they go down to like the bayou?
The Congo or something, and Shaq is like in this medieval gym dunking on like these white kids, and that was me in grade school. In football, we played tackle football on cement.
And you would just smash kids.
And it would take like 3 or 4 kids to bring me down because I wouldn't go down.
Yeah.
So I just thought, I'll go to Notre Dame and be dominant. And I'm in line, and these 2 black kids are standing next to me. I'm like, what grade are you guys in? They're like, we're freshmen. I'm like, well, fuck, dude. It's going to be a long day. I mean, they were 6'7", like, and so in the huddle, I was fucking around, the coach, I was a running back, and I was, so you get in the huddle, for some reason the coach designated me to give the play instead of the quarterback. I'm not sure why. And, I get in the huddle. I'm like, all right, guys, the play is receivers get open. So the coach, I didn't last long. Played one day of high school football, and then I said, where are the golf tryouts?
You played golf then?
Yeah, and I really wasn't good enough to make the golf team, but the teacher somehow found out that my dad was a member of Bel Air Country Club, and so he's like, oh yeah, I'll get this kid on the team, so I would take him to play golf.
So you did play there?
I did play, and they had this rule like you had to play one match, every season to like be credited with.
So they had to put you in the match, and then you would fuck it up for everyone.
So first hole at Lakeside, which is where we played our home matches at Notre Dame. I think I shot a ball out of bounds and I broke my putter. So for the rest of the 8 holes, I had to putt with my driver. So I shot like a 700 and like.
What do you shoot when you play golf?
I have to tell this quick caveat. I don't play golf anymore. So my parents moved to Miami in '88. My dad was a wild man. He just literally sold a home without telling my mom, and just came home and said, "We're moving to Miami."
It's my kind of guy.
Yeah, he's just like.
I wish I used to be that guy. My wife has beat that all out of me. That everything I do, I run by her. It's awful. I want to go back to being like a crazy man that she's just like, "You did what?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we're moving to Alaska." I wish I was still that guy, but she's ruined me.
Well, I think marriages should be, "Hey, honey, I'm doing this."
Yeah, fuck that.
But my dad did not.
Life's short. Make it exciting.
My dad did. They literally just. And it's one of the most horrifying moments in my life.
When they told you they're moving to Florida?
No, we had these 3 amazing dogs growing up. Mickey, Maddie, and Freddie. Mickey was the toughest dog I've ever met in my life. I saw Mickey get hit by my neighbor's Jaguar, full on. My neighbor was a drunk, rich guy. Hit Mickey, and Mickey was about maybe a little taller than Lois. Took 40 miles an hour, head first into this car, rolled under the car, got up, didn't blink an eye, didn't even hurt him. So these dogs were.
What kind of dog was it?
Just like Lois, 3 months.
What is this?
I think we had a black dog named Tracy who went up to Harry Nielsen's house a lot because he had a dog, and I think they fucked. And one night we go to midnight mass. We come back. We kept Tracy in the boiler room.
That's creepy.
Well, it was. I remember it very specifically. It was very cold that night. And the boiler room was, like warm. So we set up Tracy's dog bed in there. We come home from midnight mass, and there was 3 puppies.
Wow.
She gave birth to and it was Mickey, Maddie, and Freddie. Freddie died. About 86, so it was just Mickey and Maddie. And then when my parents moved the house to Florida, my dad was like, "Well, you got to take the dogs." And I'm like, "Well, I'm going to be in an apartment." So I took 2, for the most part, pretty healthy dogs to get euthanized.
What?
I've never told this story before. It's actually pretty funny. So it haunts me to this day.
It should.
Looking back. It would be like literally taking Lois right now, who's clearly healthy. She's hanging off the couch right now.
With that one snaggletooth coming out.
Got the Billy Idol thing. They were literally in the shape of Lois's right now. So me and my sister Virginia, we took Mickey and Maddie to get euthanized.
Why?
Because no one wanted to take them.
But you could have taken them to get adopted.
It's just not how we were raised. We were raised just to be like, move on. Looking back now, I just think I should have just taken them. The doctor brings them both back out after he euthanized
What
them.
the fuck are you telling me this story for? This is the worst story I've ever heard.
And I'm like, "What are you doing?" He said, "Oh, I thought you wanted to say goodbye." I'm like, "Yeah, when they were alive." Then they're stiff as boards, I mean.
You just went and gashed your dogs.
Yeah.
You're like a Nazi.
The Jewish Nazi.
They were perfectly healthy dogs?
Yes.
That's illegal, I think.
Well, it's probably a couple things that went on in the Skakel household in the 70s.
My God, this is the worst story I've ever heard. Lois, I need to get you out of here.
Hey, Lois, we're going somewhere after
Lois,
this.
come with me. Lois.
But it affects me to this day. Like every time I think about, I tear up because I loved those dogs, and I don't know. Maybe I just was sad about my parents leaving. Why
couldn't you let them live in your apartment?
I don't remember at the time why I just didn't think like that, but I just thought, oh wow, I've never lived on my own before. I'm sad my parents are leaving me.
Right. Why'd your parents want to go to Florida?
Well, I said it was more my dad.
What?
Mom was just there for the ride.
Yeah.
He had a lot of friends in Florida. He had friends all over the world.
Yeah.
And there was a golf course there, Indian Creek Country Club,
Indian Creek.
Where he was like a god. So I think he just wanted to live out his, latter half of his life where he was loved. Which is how I am. Like, I don't go anywhere I'm not loved.
Well, that's a good thing. You shouldn't.
But I mean, I'm treated...
7-Eleven, I see you there often.
On Olympic in La Cienega, I'm treated like not a god, but I'm treated very well at the Comedy Store. So, I'm loved there. The Roast Battle fans love me. The cartoon fans, give me love. So I learned that from my dad.
I think that's a good thing. I've tried too many times to
Eddie, what are you doing? You're on Facebook Live, checking your phone.
Sorry, my uncle just had a cardiac.
Oh shit!
Getting a stent.
This happened once before when Rick Overton was on, and the legend of Rick Overton. No, and he got a text saying that Gary Shannon died on air, and Rick.
Are they good friends?
Yeah, and there's very few people I respect more than Rick Overton.
I love Rick. He's a good guy.
Dude, if everyone could be like you, here's what I love about you. And I know we're jumping all over the place. You're the real deal. There's no bullshit with you. You say what you feel.
I can't lie. I try to be Hollywood fake. I just can't do it.
I've tried. Now I'm very blunt and honest.
It's good for your career if you want to be successful in this business, because people are so sensitive. You have to walk on eggshells. Not walk on eggshells. You just have to be very complimentary of everybody. And I just can't do that. I have to be like, if I like you, I like you. If I don't, I don't. And you'll see it in me. And I try. Maybe I don't know you, so I give people second and third chances too.
I give people one.
No, see, I give people second and third chances. But back to you. So, brothers and sisters still
Two
around?
brothers, two sisters. They're both all spread out. We all get along, but we were raised like wolves.
Yeah.
I could count the number of times we ate dinner together on two hands.
Right.
We literally would get the Mexican cook to, make us whatever dinner was, and I'd go off in the TV room. My sister would go upstairs. My brother would go outside, and my other brother would, I don't know, go somewhere else to eat. My other sister was saying.
You say they're all over the place. Like what parts of the world?
I have a sister in the Hollywood Hills, a brother in Malibu. He's like the king of Malibu.
How do I not know?
You probably do. He's a big surfer. He's like the Bin Laden of Malibu. He never leaves.
I like him. That's how I like to be.
Drives a Ford Suburban that looks like something from a monster truck rally.
Okay, if I ever see him, can I go up to him and tell him I'm friends with you?
Absolutely.
Will he find that funny?
He probably will. He's a great guy. He used to get into nightclubs in the 80s as Tom Cruise because he is an incredibly good-looking guy. And then his appearance now is like a bouncer, and ZZ Top had a baby.
Does he have long hair?
Long hair, big beard.
I'm trying to think if I know him.
He's like 300 pounds, but he's like
Lois.
solid.
Lois
Lois is cool.
Lois wants love. She's afraid of getting gassed.
Yeah.
What's your brother's name?
Andrew Skakel is the brother in Malibu. Jimmy is in Hood River, Oregon.
I was just there.
Okay, he's like a freelance writer, and my other sister's in Sequim, Washington, where she's like the mayor or something. She's very involved in Sequim life. And then my sister Caroline's in the Hollywood Hills.
Is this your brother?
Yes, that is my brother.
I think I know your brother. I'm not kidding.
I bet you do. And Stefan Adika, I don't know where Snake Man is. I hear vague.
I think I know your brother.
Oh, he's the best. He's like a cult figure in Malibu. Because he could have been... I don't think Eddie knows Bruce Kulick. You don't know Bruce Kulick, do you?
No.
A guitar player in Kiss. Some of these fans like to act out. So, we love each other. But we, all live such different lifestyles, we rarely talk to each other.
Now, who's this one?
I don't know who that is. Oh.
All right.
I couldn't see. My vision's not that good.
So So you decide to go to community college or junior college?
I just didn't know what I wanted to do. I really wish I started comedy back then. Like, when you see like Chappelle and Chris Rock.
Right. They started when they were like 16.
That's like, I started at 30. So
yeah, I think if I lived in like a city like New York City, I would have started at 16 too. Because that's what I wanted to do. I just didn't know there was a way to do it. And there was a place called the Funny Bone in Pittsburgh, but like I wasn't driving outside of my neighborhood away from my high school, until you're like 18 years old. And even then I hadn't found out that there was a comedy club. But if I lived in New York City, you would have seen comedy clubs everywhere.
Right.
And realized that exists. Like I didn't even know the Funny Bone existed till I was 24 years old. And I had already been to the Comedy Cellar. And I'd been to more comedy clubs in New York City than I had in Pittsburgh. I went to all these comedy clubs and was like, oh, it's a New York thing. And then I found out there was one in Pittsburgh. I was like, what?
You're past at the Cellar, right?
Yeah.
I think you're the first guest I've ever had. It's the Cellar.
I've been working at the Cellar for 20 years. 20 years.
And that, for those of our fans, well, I'm sure your fans know, but that is basically like the East Coast comedy store. I mean,
yeah,
to a degree.
Very similar, I'd say. Let me ask you this.
Quick shout out to the Stand in New York. They gave me.
They're a good club too. Really good club.
Patrick Milligan gave me my first ever New York City spot.
It's a great club.
I'm loyal to him.
You had to fly there. So you go to what do you do when you drop out of junior college?
I became a fitness trainer.
Where? I used to do it too.
I could see it. I didn't know.
Yeah, I used to do it. Equinox.
It's a great
in New York.
Story. It was Family Fitness Center on Pico and Roxbury, and my first day, Dean Martin's daughter, Dina Martin, was my boss.
What an awful name.
But it was just so weird, like the 6 degrees of separation. She's like, well, Stanley's your instructor. He'll teach you everything downstairs. So I walked downstairs, and there's about a 6'2", 250-pound black dude asleep on the life cycle. And I wake him up, and he had a huge dong. And it was Stanley Wilson, the Cincinnati Bengals football player, who I think the night before the Super Bowl did a bunch of blow, so they suspended him, and he couldn't play in the game.
That's hilarious.
And so this is how far he fell. He was an instructor at Family Fitness in Beverly Hills.
How long did you work at Family Fitness?
Probably 3 years, and then I went to the Sports Connection, which, if you've ever seen that movie Perfect with John Travolta, Jamie Lee Curtis, I went to work the front desk there, and it was wild there. All the employees were fucking. The managers would only hire hot chicks.
So you were just trying to meet hot chicks. That's why you're doing the training.
To be honest with you, the first girl I ever slept with, I met her at Family Fitness, and I guess looking back, I guess I, in a bit of a stalkerish move, went to Sports Connection to
find her.
Yeah, and then I got a job.
Where did you go from Family Fitness after your 3 years of training?
Well, I went to Sports Connection.
Right, and then what'd you do?
And then I started private training people.
For how long?
Probably 6-7 years.
Really?
But I knew I didn't want to. I had a tipping point moment, and it's funny. It happened right down the street. There's a gym. I don't know what it's called now. But it's called Workout Warehouse.
Right.
And it's like in West Hollywood. It's kind of a ritzy private training gym. And I saw like a 60-year-old trainer there, and he just looked miserable. He basically was like the Argus Hamilton of trainers. And I don't mean that as a shot at Argus, who's like a legend of comedy, but fuck, I don't want to be 60 years old and be training people. So I finally got in. All my friends who were agents and managers, like, dude, you're funnier than any of our clients. And they worked at like ICM, and like, just get into comedy will help you. Like, you're funny, you'll make it.
Right.
So I get into comedy, and most of them leave to get into real estate.
That is usually, a lot of TV people do that.
Those fucking
because
bastards.
with the reason they get into real estate is because the house doesn't have feelings.
Yeah.
Like when you have to deal with a client and you're trying to sell them and they don't sell, they get butthurt. But a house is just gonna be like, I'm just a house, and the house is eventually gonna sell.
Well, I mean, they gave me the best education ever because I would hang out with these guys, and you know, agents and managers, they worked 100-hour weeks and they played 100-hour weekends.
Yeah,
I mean, they were the biggest bunch of pussy hounds I've ever seen.
Yeah.
On such a level, and I was the sober one, I was much bigger back then, muscular. Like I was squatting 500-600 pounds.
Jeez.
Benching 300, natural too, never done roids or anything. So I was a pretty big dude. So they had me around because these guys wouldn't care if they were fucking a married woman. I remember one time at the Rainbow, we had these guy dinners, and so 6 or 7 of us. All of a sudden, this big-titted blonde comes in with these muscle heads and goes, "That's the guy right there. Said he was an agent." I'm like, "Oh fuck!" And one of the guys headbutted my friend, and hey, Earl, spring into action.
Were you a fighter?
I mean, I can. No, my reflexes are horribly slow, but I can handle myself if I feel threatened. Like Rogan could kill me in literally under 5 seconds.
Yeah, I think he'd kill everyone in under 5 seconds.
His friend Tate Fletcher, I don't know if you know Tate.
I know Tate very well.
Tate's awesome. He could kill me in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
So, but if someone were, like, there have been a few times I've been walking Lois around here late night, and there's some gay bashing that goes on here. Not a lot, but it's a very gay neighborhood. So I'm walking at 3 or 4 in the morning. I'm sure it's like, let's beat this fag up. So I've had to like act like a tough guy.
Yeah.
When I thought I was getting jumped or something.
Well, okay. So when did you start comedy?
At 30, so I started doing open mics. I remember I went to the Comedy Store, and Brody Stevens was hosting.
Wow.
And looking back,
So what year was this?
this was probably 2000, maybe 99.
Okay. You didn't start much longer after me. 3 years.
But man, I wish I started earlier. But I didn't. So, and I saw Brody make someone cry.
Really?
This kid had bombed pretty badly.
But I gather, though, that you pretty much stayed in the store almost all the time.
No, I went up there. I saw Brody make this kid cry because he had bombed pretty badly.
Uh-huh.
And this is back in the dark era of the store, not what the store is now.
No, it was a scary place.
Like if you go to Potluck on Monday nights now, it's sold out.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the comics are all doing really well. There's a lot of funny comics out there now. Back then it wasn't. 1 or 2 comics were funny. Everyone's eating shit. And Brody's like, and I can't do an impression of him, but he's like, "Hey, where are you from, man?" And the guy's like, "La Jolla." And Brody's like, "Well, that drive just got a lot longer." And the kid ran out crying. I'm like, I don't think I'm ready for this place. So I think I did one more show there where Bobby Lee was hosting.
Yeah.
And Bobby Lee gave me the greatest intro. He did, and this is why I'm loyal to Bobby Lee to this day.
He's a great guy.
We share the same birthday, and he's like, "Yeah, this next guy, he just filmed his Comedy Central special. He's great." And I was horrible.
Yeah.
And I bombed. And he's like, "Hey, this guy's going to be a star." Like, he wasn't mocking me. He was like, so I'm like, I don't think I'm ready for the store.
So where'd you go?
Just open mics for probably the next 5 or 6 years.
Really?
And
see, you were different than me. You were much more self-aware, where I was just full of ambition, but probably wasn't self-aware. I was like, by 3 years, I was like, I can headline.
Oh, I knew that wasn't happening.
And I was ready to perform anywhere, anytime, anyhow. You couldn't set a bar high enough that I didn't want to jump over, which is not good. The only time I've ever checked myself, the only time was after I did my premium blend show, which I did with Bobby Lee. They offered me a half-hour special. They were like, "That was great. We want you to do a half-hour special." And I was smart enough, or maybe not, maybe it wasn't very smart. I said no. I said, "I'm not ready." I was like, "I want to do it when I have a good special." And so I waited a few years, and I contacted them and said, "I want to do my special now." And they were like, "Nope." And I was like, "No, but I'm ready." And then they didn't come back to me for like 2 more years, where they were like, "Okay, we want you to do a special now." And I was like, fuck, I should have just taken it when they gave it to me. Because this business, I feel like you fail upwards. And so it's just a matter of like getting things, failing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot.
But I was like, oh, I want to make it really good. Meanwhile, I worked hard, thought I made it good. No one saw it, so it didn't matter. It's just about credits, not about what you put, the product you put out there. So,
I agree.
So then you did open mics for like
5-6 years, and it probably hindered me because I was treated like a god at these rooms. Like, because I would, someone came up to me once and was like, dude, you're like the Dane Cook of shitholes. Because I would kill in these rooms. Because it was mainly all comics, so I would just do like inside jokes that I knew the comics would get. And
so how are you making an income at the time?
Well, when my parents passed away, it's kind of a long, like, wacky story, but, long story short, the attorney was like, hey, this is Florida law, so there's no state income tax here, but, with the states, they, you better get it together. Like, you gotta buy some land, or, you have to have some non-stock, financial holdings, or you guys are going to all be working at Walmart to make ends meet. So we ended up buying a piece of land that, fortunately for us, FedEx was like, we want that land.
So what'd you do with your money? You bring it back here, or did you keep it in Florida?
Real estate. So real estate, basically. Yeah. And then
So you own stuff, you rent it out.
So we're landlords.
Yeah.
So long story short, so I'm very lucky, incredibly lucky.
So that allowed you to pursue your career.
Yeah, without having to worry about, oh my God, I can't go up tonight. I have to get up at 4 a.m. tomorrow for a job.
Right.
So
we all have our little advantages, and I struggled for so long, and then my sister in New York let me stay with her for free, which was such a fucking help. And then I booked my first big commercial thing, which was I was hosting Shark Week, and I told her, I said, hey, look, I just got a chunk of money, I can go out on my own now. And she was like, no, why do that? You can stay here. So I stayed with my sister for a few years, and had a very good situation where she took care of me, basically. And she was working on Wall Street making some money. But, there were good times and bad. Like, even with her, like, giving me free rent for a year, there was still a struggle, living in New York City. And, I mean, it was just fucking awful. But there was, I don't know how some people do it.
Well, there's no money in LA comedy. Like,
no.
I would go. My first couple of years, I would go down to San Diego to do this coffee shop gig. This 10-minute spot, not paid. It's incalculable how much money I lost doing stand-up.
Yeah, I wonder. I'd love to break it down to the hours I've put in, and how much money I've made, and what that boils down to. Like, I probably made like $2 an hour.
Oh my God! I can't just on gas money alone.
Because my friends all think that I just like sleep all day and go to the gym and don't do anything, and I'm like, you have no idea. You have no fucking idea how much goes into it.
Oh my God! It's because in LA, it's like to get stage time at any of the 3 clubs, you have to basically be on TV. And even then,
you've got TV credits now. What was your first TV credit?
Well, my first movie credit I got before a TV credit was Nick Swartzen put me in a very quick scene in Benchwarmers.
And how were you friends with Nick?
Yeah, he was friends with my friend Dixon.
Dixon Matthews.
Yes.
Yeah. What's Dixon do now?
I know Dixon. I wouldn't say I got him the job, but my ex-girlfriend, who is co-manager of the band Motorhead, he basically became Lemmy's assistant.
Oh, wow.
If you see the documentary with Lemmy and Dave Grohl, you see Dixon in a lot of the scenes. But Dixon had recommended me to Nick.
So Dixon's just with them all the time?
Well, Lemmy passed away, I think a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. So I think he's a chef now or something.
Really?
This is one of the bummers I don't like about comedy. Is like me and Dixon used to be great friends, and we still are. But we just ran into different.
Where does he live now?
I think Koreatown.
Oh,
He's got 2 kids.
Well, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Kids will take you out of the loop, though.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, it's impossible to like.
It's just it's windy. It's the door. But it's like the ball hockey league I play in the mid '90s, there was close to 200 teams. Now there's 30, and it's just guys got married, kids.
Yeah, it takes you out. When did the glasses? When did you get those glasses?
I've always had them. I have a severe stigmatism.
But why that style of glasses? It's very different than everyone else's.
I think when I was a kid, one of the movies I gravitated to in 1978, I can remember where I saw it, the Crest Theater on Westwood Boulevard, was the Buddy Holly story.
Oh, and you like Buddy's glasses?
The
and we're
Gary
like, I'm
Busey.
getting Buddy's glasses.
Well, I became a huge Gary Busey fan, and it's really weird because I'm sure you're going to know this.
I'm trying to get Gary Busey on my podcast really bad.
I've tried.
It's really hard, huh?
Well, because
he's hard to track down.
Well, probably my favorite movie of all time, of any movie.
Big Wednesday?
Yes. Because I think it's such a great story. John Milius basically wrote it about his childhood in Malibu.
Yeah.
I'm not a surfer. I've never surfed in my life. But that movie, I remember seeing that at the Mann National in Westwood, which was like the big theater back then. And it was me and my two brothers, and that's it.
Yeah, Gary Busey, we're trying to get on the bingo bus. And it's like my most coveted guest that I've wanted.
Oh, he's like...
I'll drive, and I know he lives in Malibu somewhere. I'll drive to his house, park in his driveway, and do the show.
Oh, he's a dream.
Gary, if you're out there, or anybody listening to this, please tweet Gary Busey and tell him to get on the bingo bus.
Because he's like the ideal podcast guest.
Oh,
yes, he's famous.
The best ever. A friend of mine, Adam De La Pena, who has been on the bingo, on Talking Shit a number of times. He's a really funny guy. He's a director, writer, producer, star of a show. He did a show on Comedy Central called Me and Gary Busey.
Oh, okay.
Where he goes, I just went in and pitched to them. I was like, so it's going to be me and Gary Busey, and we're going to do crazy shit that Gary thinks up. And they were like, sounds brilliant. And he sold the show. And he got like 2 seasons or something. I don't know. And he and Gary he goes, it was crazy. Gary'd be like, okay, here's what we're going to do, brother. We're going to go to the back of my house. I got a cliff there. And we're just going to tie ropes to a tree. And we're going to hang from the ropes for as long as we can. We'll just hang out there on the cliff. And we'll do that for an episode. And he's like, okay.
Yeah, why not?
And he's like, all right, brother, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go down to a shopping center, just you and I, and we're going to sit outside in shopping carts. And when people come in, we're going to throw Duraflame logs on the ground and just tell them to jump over them like they're on Frogger. Yeah. Like, okay, let's do this thing.
I mean, that's what... I would be a horrible TV executive. I'd be like, who's going to watch that? They got 2 seasons.
Well, I think it got canceled.
But I mean, that show Big Brother that's on now.
I would be a horrible... Because I obviously... I think I have good taste, but I obviously have horrible taste. No, I might still have good taste, but I have horrible eye for what's commercially viable because the things I like don't ever do well. I thought I discovered this band not the other day, like about a year ago that I fell in love with. I think it's called Nocco and Medicine for the People. I just loved it. And I played it for Kevin and Bean. I was doing Kevin and Bean the other day. And they're like, this is world music. And I was like, I don't know what it is. I like it. And they're like, you like this? And I was like, yeah, I love this. And they were like, and I just realized they're so mainstream.
Right.
I was like, geez, I just suck. Like, I don't know anything that...
Well,
I just know what I like.
Well, I mean, there was a band, and we could probably have this conversation with comics too, but there's a band called the Click Five. And they were a boy band out of Boston, about 2005, 2006. And I thought, this is the next big group, because they all played their own instruments. They were like the Cars meet the Backstreet Boys. I like that when everybody plays their... I watched I hang out with Franz Ferdinand for a whole weekend once. Like, they came to my shows, I went to their shows. And I watched them all like switch instruments, and I was like, "This is great! This is so cool that they're all so multi-talented." And meanwhile, they were opening for like David Guetta, like some DJ who was plugging in an iPod, and they were so talented. So wait, so where does it go for here for Earl?
You're not doing the roast battle anymore.
I took a vacation from it.
Took a vacation from the roast battle.
But it's how I feel about roast battle is that this might not be the best analogy, but it's like a girlfriend that cheated on me, but I'm still in love with because it's given me everything. Right. I mean, Brian Moses.
Brian's a great dude.
He didn't need a sidekick, but he could have done it by himself, and he was very gracious to let me be basically.
He's
his
a
sidekick.
really good guy. When he first had me come on the show and do it, I was like, "How do I know this dude?" And he told me, he goes, "Oh man, you used to come down to San Diego. I would go do this gig called Moondoggies. I'd just do there because there was lots of girls there, and it was just like a bomb fest." He's like, "You were hilarious. How bad you bombed down there." And he goes, "I'll never forget the time you wouldn't get off stage till they gave you a standing ovation. They were booing you, and you go, 'I'm not leaving till I get a full standing ovation from the entire room,' because they all stood up to make you leave." And he's a really good guy. I like him a lot. That's a tough show though. What's tough is being a judge, because when you're judging, you're winging it all the time.
You cost me a win, you bastard.
I didn't know it was so important to people.
Well, at the time it was, because
I didn't realize.
Before the TV show had
I thought it was all a big joke.
So like me, yeah, I mean it's well, now I don't think the rankings, they have rankings and stuff. It's like they don't mean much, but like, but I'm very loyal to the show.
How many people would you say are the core of that show that are involved in like filming it, keeping notes on it, scoring it,
I mean, I would say, obviously Moses, he's been there from day one. I mean, I was there from day one until I left.
But I'm saying, are there 10, 20, 30
I would
people?
say, well, it's hard, like, I can only answer it, like, then you have the Wave, who've been there from pretty much day one, so that's 3 guys. Jeff was there, I think.
So of these, like,
maybe 15.
So of these 15, how many of them are making money from it?
That I couldn't tell you. I don't know.
I'm just saying, I'm trying to figure out how, like, if this thing has growth, if it has staying power, if it has, I see it's branching off into other countries.
Well, I think it does, as long as the battles are good. Like, that's what, sells the show, is like 2 people cutting into each other. And, to me, I think it's important that the battlers know each other.
Yeah.
Because I think some of the battles, in my season in Montreal, a lot of the battles worked, a few didn't because they didn't know each other. So it's just generic. Like you and I would be a great battle because we know each other.
Right.
Oh, Earl's Kennedy there. Yeah. Oh, he did.
That was the whole purpose of this today, was for me to get to know you better so that I can roast you someday.
Well, that's what I do. Like when I battle someone, I research the shit out of them. Like I'm a maniac. I might have other people write the jokes, but if you had an abortion 20 years ago, I'll find out about it. And I'll interview the fucking doctor. But I'm obsessive compulsive. Like, for Tom Ballard, I was given...
you found out he was gay.
Well, I knew that anyway. But that was a risky battle for me because I'm like, well, fuck, he's a great comic, so I can't really critique his career.
Did you beat him?
I did.
Okay.
But it was a tough battle. The one that, Kevin Hart was a judge, so I'm like, fuck, I'm going to do this racial joke. I hope it hits. And
Kevin probably loved it.
Well, I don't know him, so it's like, I don't want him to think I'm racist or whatever, so I'm like, Tom Ballard's gay, so he's taking more shots to the back than Kevin's unarmed cousin. And Kevin Hart just looked at me like, you're an idiot. And
that's a good joke.
But it's short.
What's your best roast joke of all time? Do you think?
I would say when I battled a friend, and they had hit me with a really good joke, and I said, well, your breath is so bad that it smells like you brush your teeth with your pussy.
That's a great joke.
It won me the battle, and they were a very tough opponent.
That's because my favorite jokes are the quick ones like that.
Well, that's all I do.
That's all you should do. All these people, but every once in a while there's somebody that comes in with like an interesting dynamic, and I like the roast battle a lot. It's really fun.
Oh, it's given me everything. Like, it literally is the only reason.
I would like to do it, to roast them.
You'd be great at it.
But my problem is that I feel like I have everything to lose and nothing to gain.
Well, no. See, I think you have everything to gain because, if you lose, you don't really roast battle a lot, so there's no, like, pressure on you. But you're headlining all over the world. It's not going to affect you in that regard. I think you only benefit from it. Like, someone like me, the pressure to not lose or be embarrassed is higher because I'm, whatever the word is, a little more unknown than you are or whatever. So it's like I'm so tied to roast battle. If I get killed, it's like, oh, well, he sucks. So I've luckily never gotten killed.
So what is your plan? If you're taking a break from roast battle, what is the career goal of? Doesn't seem like you have a master plan.
I mean, I get a sexual high from doing stand-up, but I also realize that to play in front of bigger crowds, you have to be on TV. It almost doesn't really matter what the show is. They just, as you know, clubs just want to say, Screech.
They're not comedy clubs, they're famous clubs. They want famous, they don't care about comedy.
Right.
Jazz clubs want jazz, they want really good jazz. Comedy clubs want really famous people.
And I get it. So, the cartoon, the jellies helps.
Yep.
And that fan base is exactly...
You're doing one of the voices on there?
I'm the dad of Tyler, the Creator. But that's like the ideal fan base for me. Those Adult Swim.
Right,
probably
they're the best.
19 to 35.
Yeah, they're the best. If anyone that watches, that's ultimately, I think, where we all like... I watch Comedy Central and I'm like, nah. And then I watch Adult Swim and I'm like, oh, here's where funny people are.
Well, Comedy Central's important to me because through Roast Battle, I'm known on that channel for once. To go, 13, 14 years with nothing other than Benchwarmers and then to be on Comedy Central 5 nights and 6 days.
I can't believe you stuck with it that much without, I have to constantly feel like shit's happening or I'm just like, I do love stand-up. Like I tell everybody, I ultimately would like to have just like passive income, like some just amazing amount of inherited wealth or something that I could have money in the bank and just go down to the Comedy Cellar 5 nights a week and go in and just do my stand-up without a care in the world. I would love that, but I'm in a position where it's like I got a mortgage, I got
a kid,
I got school, and I got to pay this shit that it's just and there's so many times that I compromise, that I'm doing jokes I don't want to do, that I'm like, oh, this will pay the bills. I was like, fuck, I never want to be in this position. I wish I was independently wealthy and I could go, I'm just going to do the fucking Cellar every night and do comedy that I think is funny instead of pandering every once in a while. So,
well, that reminds me of a Reddit review about me. I think it was after my battle with Jimmy Carr. This guy is just Opie and Anthony fan. He's like, can someone please explain to me Earl Skakel? Because I just don't think he's funny. He seems like the type of guy who hangs out at the Comedy Store because he's rich and doesn't have to work and yells out faggot and
N-word.
And I was like, wow, this guy's got me pegged. But I get what you mean. With Roast Battle originally, that's not my normal sense of humor. I roast myself in my act.
You do?
I talk about what a loser I am, in 80s metal and I'm.
Have you ever gone on the metal show with Jim Florentine and what's his name?
Eddie Trunk?
No, the other one.
Don Jameson.
Don Jameson, yeah.
I would love to.
Yeah, you should do their show.
I would love to.
Do you know Jim at all?
I've met him a few times.
One of the best guys in the world.
But with Roast Battle, I kind of not sold out, but I felt like an 80s metal, like CeCe DeVille from Poison. Pink.
Speaking of which, we just mentioned a bunch of comics. Do you? Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's our podcast.
Do people call you or message you when you're on a podcast, like when you're mentioned or talked about?
Not really.
Me neither. I think people. I've had it. Stanhope and someone were talking. Bert Kreischer were talking about calling it a pod call. When someone messages you,
right,
or talks about you, somebody should say, you should get a tweet that says #podcall at like
right
at like 12:03 on the,
that'd be great
show. Because I wonder, like, I talk openly about a lot of comedians, like I don't hold back, and I always wondered, do they find out I did, or is this just talking behind their backs?
I know, like, Rogan's a big roast battle fan, and when he mentions my name, because he was the judge when I battled Jesse Joyce, like, I get 100 followers.
Yeah.
Like, I find out, like, hey, a judge.
Right, but, I mean, you'll hear a Rogan, or you'll hear someone who's really big, like Howard Stern mentioned me a few times, and I would get calls, like, dude,
right.
you were, Howard Stern was talking about you today. But I don't hear, like, hey, they mentioned you on the Crab Feast today, or hey, and then part of me just goes, I guess no one ever talks about me. But, like, we just talked about Jim Florentine. I'm like, I wonder if Jim will ever know that, like, hear that and go, hey, I should have Earl Skakel on the Metal Show.
Oh, I would love to, because we had a great conversation at the Comedy Store one night about Vinnie Vincent, who, I'm obsessed with. He was the guitar player in Kiss after they kicked out Ace. They kicked him out 3 times in 2 years because he was such a maniac. And then he forms the Vinnie Vincent Invasion, gets kicked out of that, disappears for 25 years, comes back like a month ago in Atlanta at a Kiss convention as a woman.
Oh, I heard this story.
But he's so musically talented, like, I don't care what he is. But I'm a little sore at him because I think about 10 years ago, he put out a box set on cassette, which shows you right there. I paid $150 for it. I get the box set in the mail. I'm like, this feels a little light. And I shake it like, nothing's moving around in there. I open it up, there's nothing in it. He ripped off like all his fans.
Why would he do that?
So now he's trying to like backtrack, and at the convention last month, he's like, well, yeah, he bullshit his way out.
I did that with the Bingle show. Like I had a lot of rewards to give for the Kickstarter, and we raised like $60,000, and people, T-shirts, like posters, everything, and we got out a lot of them, but a lot of them we didn't, especially people overseas, because
it's a pain in the ass to ship.
We didn't know when we got into it that like you pay $25, you get a T-shirt and a poster. Well, the poster costs $3 to make, the T-shirt costs $7 to make. And then to ship it costs $15 to make. And I'm like, their donation just paid for it. Like, we didn't make any money on it. So my whole thing was, I should get the show made and up, because that's what they want. And then as I make profit in the future, then I get them all their stuff. So like, a lot of people did not get their shit. And they're like, hey man, where's my fucking shit? And I'm like, you're gonna get it. So I'm not giving up on the show because I owe you guys, but the show's put me in such fucking debt with how much the bus is broken down, things have gotten wrong, the rats ate all the wiring, the tour, cost tons of money, and now we're doing this thing called Bingle Fest. I'm doing a festival out in Monroe, Washington, July 13th, 14th, 15th. You're more than welcome to come perform. You'd have to fly there. I know you'll have an excuse. But it's on this farm that has like mini houses, tree houses, a bubble house. I'll show you a video. It's incredible.
I would love to.
There's pigs in dresses. Maybe we'll have a little mini roast battle one night. But
you got to clear that with Moses though, because like I don't want. Roast battle has.
We'll invite Moses.
Oh, absolutely.
We'll have.
I gotta pee real fast. Keep talking.
I can't talk while you're peeing.
No, just so.
I'll keep plugging.
Go ahead. Keep plugging. Where can people find the Bingle podcast?
Yeah. Because I gotta go soon.
I know, but I'm gonna pee.
All right. I'm so late. I gotta go.
I know. How much time can you give me?
20 minutes.
All right, we got 20 minutes. Plug away.
Okay, so I'm. Okay, so we're having this. This is kind of weird and awkward because I'm.
Keep talking.
So the Bingle, it's called Bingle Fest 2018. It's going to be.
What are you doing?
So the festival is going to be in. It's just going to be a whole bunch of us at having fun, drinking, smoking, free beer, free. I can't say free weed, but there's going to be free weed.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
You don't get that on Joe Rogan's podcast where Joe's like, I gotta pee, I'll be right back.
No, I do it. I used to do it on my show all the time because I'd be drunk all the time. But we're going to have podcasting, comedy. We've got bands playing. There's a stage, like a real stage being built. You know, there's porta-johns, bathroom. Well, we have one shower. 50 tickets are going on sale on March 2nd. 50. That's it. Tents. Everybody's camping out.
How are you going to make money?
We're not making $1. In fact, I'm losing more money. But it's just going to be the fucking best party ever. It's going to be crazy. We got a slip and slide. There's an inflatable house that everybody just gets high in. It's an inflatable, like you're going to get hot boxed when you walk into it. There's a hot tub. There's pigs with dresses and donkeys and
I'm not going
fireworks.
Into a hot tub.
Craig Conant's going to be there. Joe Prano's going to be there. Lachlan Patterson's going to be there. I'm going to be there. Gene Pompa says he might come. Yoshi Obayashi's going to be there. I'd love to have Earl Skakel there.
I'm in. I'm already confirmed.
Are you really?
Yeah.
I'll put you on the poster.
Oh, I'm in.
Earl Skakel's there. So it's going to be a really fucking fun time. There's tree houses. I'll show you these. It looks like an Ewok village.
Now, where are people staying? Like,
so people are bringing tents. It'll be like a camp out, like a festival. And we have the coffee girls are topless in the morning. You know, who knows what kind of show they could put on later. It's going to be one of the. I look at all the shit I've done in my career. It's not the TV shows I've been on, or it's usually the antics, the stories that I've been involved in that make me the happiest. So I'm just hoping this is like a weekend of crazy fucking stories.
All right, now my iPad's about to shut down. We're gonna continue the last 15 minutes off air, so you got to listen to it.
Is anybody watching it?
Yeah, it's like 50 people in chat.
Oh, that's
so
nice.
Eddie Ifft, where can people find you, Eddie, on social media?
I'm at eddieif.com is where you're going to buy tickets to the show and all my tickets. I'm on tour all over the country right now, and I'm at Eddie Ifft on all kinds of social media.
Follow Eddie. He's the real deal. We're going to talk for about another 10 minutes. This will be out as soon as I edit it. It's a dual podcast, so it'll be on Eddie's side, my side, and deal with it. Inappropriate Earl, The Bengal Show. We'll see you later, Facebook.